But we have always been talking about the necessity to hold the Assad regime accountable for its possession of chemical weapons, which, up until right now, but for the threat of the use of force, they have never even admitted they have. Now they're not only admitting they have them, but they say they're prepared to try to live up to some international standards. That is only happening because we have shown them that we are prepared to do what is necessary to hold them accountable. Unacceptable. That's why we're here where we are today. There's a moral imperative to this. There's a strategic imperative to this. There's a practical military imperative in terms of sending him a message that his infrastructure militarily and his capacity to wage war could be affected if he continues to use these prohibited, outlawed, and outrageous weapons. Well, the UN is absent on this issue, regrettably, and I really mean, I underline regrettably, because the Russians and the Chinese have blocked us, I think now 11 or 12 times, from being able to try to create humanitarian access routes, guarantee direct access for humanitarian assistance. They have blocked us from condemning even the generic use of chemical weapons, let alone pointing the finger of blame at somebody, just the generic use. So we've been blocked by particularly the Russians, who up until now have been the principal supporters of the Assad regime, together with Hezbollah and Iran. Probably haven't done enough in some ways, but we're doing as much as we can right now. The United States, I am proud to again say, is the largest humanitarian donor. We are doing an enormous amount to get food and shelter to the refugees. There are now 1.6 million refugees outside in Lebanon and in Jordan and Turkey. There are another 5 million people displaced within Syria itself. There are people desperate for food, and indeed, as you've said, people are marrying off a daughter simply to be able to survive. This is a terrible humanitarian crisis. And on a humanitarian basis, we Americans, I mean, how in good conscience can we simply wash our hands and say we are not going to care about these people who desperately look to us and to the rest of the world for some kind of assistance against this dictator who has proven that power for he and his family is far more important than safety and security for his own people. We have to change that. I know Walid Muallim. He has hosted me previously in Syria before all of this began a number of years ago. And I would hope that he and Bashar al-Assad would take advantage of this opportunity as a moment to try to make peace in Syria, to genuinely reach out, live up to what they've just said they would do with respect to the Chemical Convention, go further, help us in the next days working with Russia to work out the formula by which those weapons can be transferred to international control and destroyed, and even further demonstrate the way in which they will try to help make the Geneva process work so that Syrians can choose a peaceful future that protects the rights of all people in Syria, end this civil war, help us be able to reach for peace. And I hope that perhaps in the next days they'd be willing to try to make that concrete.
Andrew Bider, Nicholas Kristof, and of course, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, thank you so much for joining us. And to everyone on Google+, thank you for watching.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.